So, willkommen, bienvenue, welcome, fremde, étranger, stranger. We're back after a long hiatus over the summer, and who'd have thought it after the last appearance? I feel like I'm going to be the Lazarus of the podcast world, back from the dead. But here I am in fine company. So let's go around and introducing ourselves. So I'm Mr. Newman. I will be hosting. Ladies first.
Well, you may know me as Senorita Penna or Mademoiselle Penna.
And I am Mrs. Lopez.
I'm Mr. Estevez.
Excellent. And we're all gathered together to celebrate EDOL, the European Day of Languages, which is coming up on the 26th of September. So we've accumulated a very cosmopolitan panel for this particular episode. But I think we should go around and sort of establish our credentials, why we should be here. So other than my GCSE in French, for which I'd like to thank Madame Garni for many years ago, I'm from a very multicultural background. So my father's family are from Hungary. My grandma on my mum's side was Belgian, which means that my limited language skills are a little bit shameful. But what are we all bringing to the party today?
Well, I teach French and Spanish here, French to A-level and Spanish to GCSE, but I lived in both countries at length, and my name is Italian, and I speak a little bit of Italian, so there's a few things going on.
Solo un po'.
Exactly.
I am Spanish, as you all know, and I'm also from a province in Spain where we speak a different language, which is Valenciano, which is a dialect of Catalan, which is another language.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Estevez. I'm working here as head of boarding. I'm from Spain, as you all know. Same than Mrs. Lopez. I'm from Valencia, a province in Spain. We speak a dialect of Catalan, which is Valenciano. And yeah, I work here for boarding, so we have more than, many languages in the boarding house every night that we can listen, and the diversity that we have in the boarding house. So yeah, I think I can bring a few things here to this conversation.
So we've got a very Iberian disposition for this particular panel. So let's get stuck in. So it's a great day to celebrate, particularly the number of languages that we have in Europe. Does anyone know approximately how many languages we have? Would anyone like to hazard a guess?
I think
ballpark figure.
I don't know. Official languages, maybe. I think around 400, 2,000. I think probably if we talk about small languages that they are probably not even recognized, but maybe around thousands. Yeah, could be.
In Europe?
If we count all the dialects and all of that, 400 I think, or 500 is the one. 20 something are official, I think.
Well, I think you've over-egged the pudding on that one, because I've got a number here, approximately between 225 and 250, which seems a bit too imprecise to be to be a quiz question. But in terms of it, so tell us about the kind of the dialects that you in Spain, and perhaps some of the differences, and perhaps how that plays out in day-to-day life in Spain.
So we have four official languages in Spain. We have a Gaelic, similar to, or it has some connections with the language from Ireland, which comes from Galicia. We have the Basque in the Basque country, then we have Catalan, and then Spanish. It's the four official languages, but within those four official languages then is what I was saying about all the dialects that we have. So we speak a dialect of Catalan, which is from Valencia, has small differences, but is recognized as a dialect, so it has enough differences to have that recognition. And I think
same in Mallorca.
Yeah, same in Mallorca, which is another dialect of Catalan. And I think what brings is diversity and is beauty, and at the end is that what makes what we like about our country is that diversity is why Spain is different. If you go to the north, to the south, to the east, why the food is different? Why? Because it's being respected, that unique identity of each region. So I'm happy that we are not standardized a culture, and we've been respecting those small pockets of culture that brings that diversity in the country. So I think the language is the best vehicle to to encourage diversity and to not lose culture. Yeah.
So in terms of what are the from the like cultural aspects from the part of Spain that you're from, which kind of really hold up not only in the rest of Spain but the rest of the world? Do you think are really kind of jewels in the crown?
You mean the language from Valencia?
Yeah, from Valencia, in that region. But any cultural aspects of it?
Only from the language or from the region?
From the region.
Oh, well, we party is and light and making gestures with our hands is part of our diversity. I think we are very, I don't know the word in English, when we
tactile.
Yes.
Expressive.
Yes.
So video phones must have been a real game changer.
Yes.
For people from
yes.
from
I will just add to that. So there's Miss La Rosa and Miss Bolivar in our department, and we do have to remind the children that they are talking and having a normal conversation,
They're not fighting.
not fighting, because it sounds like they might be ready to tear each other apart, but they're just having a standard conversation.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Animated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to just tell something that I tell sometimes about the difference in culture, and probably that also affects the language. You know the program The Voice? When you watch that program, you understand the difference in culture, because if you watch one of those episodes in Spanish, you see how at the end of someone singing, all the coaches just go and hug and kiss the person and touch each other, and they all dance together after each of the songs. And then when you watch that from some other countries, you just say, okay, the chairs don't turn around, the person just goes sad, without a kind word or without a hug or without, and the opposite also for happiness. So we are very expressive.
I would say,
Open with your emotions more than
Maybe.
as repressed Brits, I would say, maybe.
Well, yeah, I think.
So how do you find living in the UK then? Home from home.
We safeguarding issues all the time. Now is I think is just different. Is important from us. We express also in a, would say, tactile.
Yeah.
Like we need that. I think when we talk, I think it's similar in yes, not only in Spain. When you look at sports, you see the coach, and the coach will be quite expressive, and will need that kind of touch to share, to reassurance. And so, but I think it's not a problem in the UK. It's just a different way, which at the end again is diversity, which is nothing is
right or wrong. It's just different.
Nothing is wrong. It's just different, and it's the beauty of that. You go to one place and you learn from it. You don't try to.
I had a sort of similar experience. One sort of noticed that when I helped out on the French exchange. This was in France, in the Champagne region, and I was taken into school by the teacher with whom I was staying. And what I noticed was that with every teacher arriving, it was either a handshake or kissing, not on one cheek, but two cheeks as well. And I sort of compared this to what it was like entering the staff room, where people will barely acknowledge your your arrival or even your existence, because they're sort of, the blinkers are on and watching.
And it's interesting. So I've lived in France for a long period of time, but usually kind of teenage boys can be a bit uncomfortable around that sort of affection, but French teenage boys all bisou each other, twice or sometimes three times in certain regions. And it's so, as someone who is more familiar with UK teenagers, it's a real contrast to see them being really comfortable with doing that. I think it's I think that between the diversity and knowing how things work in different countries, we learn a lot and we adapt, and probably it's a bit from here and a bit from there, which will bring the perfection.
So in terms of, you are very un-British like in that you've devoted a huge amount of time to bothering to learn other people's languages. What's been the motivation behind this to buck the trend?
So I think actually for me it stemmed from the fact that I had a really amazing French teacher when I was at school who just sort of believed in me and really kind of propelled me in the subject, and then I just fell in love with languages. And what I always say to the students is, like, when you're learning a language, you're not just learning the words, you're learning the music, you're learning the literature, you're learning the film, you're learning everything about the culture. At the moment in Spanish, we're just doing a big section on food, and I mean, usually it's before we have lunch, so the kids are always, I'm starving, miss, why didn't you bring tapas in?
What, is there any tapas in lessons?
There can be tapas in lessons.
Seems if you're not, that's surely a missed opportunity. I mean, from my very brief time that I've spent in Spain, the food was absolutely excellent. I remember about it. So that was a happy memory on a rainy week in Barcelona when there was a heat wave.
That's unusual.
Back in the UK. It was unusual. Not that I resent it.
But when it rains there, it rains,
indeed.
But then you guys eat so late as well, don't you?
Yeah.
I think you must have had a bit of culture shock when you came here and everyone's sort of having...
And with the borders,
dinner
you can
6.
notice that. We had now, every first term of the year, we normally have quite a few students coming from Spain. And it's difficult. The first thing that they are shocked with is, we have dinner at 6.
Yeah.
In Spain, you will not have dinner before 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Normally it will be around 10 when you normally have dinner.
Yeah, but that's only because you've had a 3-hour sleep.
Just
to even things out.
Of course. Now is the first thing that they shocked is the timings for dinner, for supper, for lunch is
So another quiz question. Can't even remember if I've asked one already. But first quiz question then. What are the French-speaking regions of Europe?
French-speaking regions.
So the French-speaking regions...
There's an obvious one here. There's an elephant in the room.
Leave me that one, France.
France. Let's go around the room.
Switzerland has part, right?
Very good. Belgium. Very good.
Luxembourg.
Yeah.
Correct. I'll give you a clue on this one. It's a principality.
Oh, Monaco.
Oh, cool. I thought you would get that one.
Well,
you probably just come out. Well, don't we all? Lovely. Right. Next quiz question then. What are the German-speaking regions?
Okay,
Germany as well.
We have Luxembourg. That also has a part of Luxembourg that they speak German.
Correct.
What else?
Austria.
Correct. They don't speak Austrian there, despite the insistence.
And in
of some
Switzerland?
people. Switzerland as well.
Germany.
We've said Germany.
I think we've had that. You can't
Germany.
get an
Sorry.
extra point for saying it twice.
How many did we say already?
So we've had Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Luxembourg. There's 2 more.
Oh. Mrs. Paris will not be happy with me if I don't.
I'll give you a clue. It's they're minority languages in this regions. I'll give you a clue. Which region of Italy?
The
north.
North of Italy. We had a border last year that her language was stronger German than.
Yeah. So Yannick Sinner, the tennis, he's from the Tyrol, and also this country is more of a French, Dutch-speaking country. But has a very small German contingent.
For the Netherlands, around the Netherlands, and not
next to the Netherlands.
Belgium.
It's where my grandmother was from.
No, I said
Belgium.
I know. Well, no, we didn't say. We said Belgium for the France. Yeah, France. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a
definitely
Belgian contingent there. So it's quite interesting how accents spread in terms of the regions and in terms of, I think, the culture as well. Because I think within Italy, the people in the South Tyrol are very much kind of culturally German, but are living in Italy. So it's interesting how that's changed. So the last quiz question from me, and then we'll wrap up. What is the smallest official language of the EU by number of speakers?
We know that one.
Yeah. Maltese?
It is Maltese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
I want to hear more about your Hungarian ancestry, though, sir. I feel like we need to pull at that thread a bit.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of it was my dad's family, so they came over here in 1938-39. So this is my
So it was a
grandfather
war
was Jewish.
response.
Yes, my grandfather was Jewish.
Amazing.
So he came over here and settled in Leicester. So he went over. My dad was born in '38, and so he came over here to kind of set up shop because he was a shoemaker. He had a shoe factory, and then he brought my dad over. So yeah, it was quite a traumatic time. But also as well, on my mum's side of the family, my grandmother was from Belgium, and she met my granddad when he was serving in the army in Belgium during the Second World War. So he was looking for places to stay, and knocked on a particular door, which was answered by my great aunt, who then thought, I know who might be a good person for you to meet, and introduced him to my grandmother. So she came over here to live in. She went from Brussels to Rochdale, which is not a commonly trod path.
It's not
initially,
a route well trodden.
Yeah. So but it was interesting as well as my grandmother got aged and she sort of became unwell. She sort of regressed into French. So when I would go and visit her towards the end of her life, she'd be speaking to me in French,
native,
which my GCSE French wasn't sufficient enough to communicate with her. So I'm very much into. I think within my family, my oldest brother is now a French citizen, and I've got another brother who lives in Munich. So in terms of everyone else in my family is very cosmopolitan, and then I live in Loughborough.
Wow.
But,
very cosmopolitan place.
Very. But I think your story just demonstrates that it's very rare to find somebody that doesn't have connections to many different countries. And so when we look at who we are as individuals, you know, I could say I'm British, but I don't feel just British. I feel French, I feel Spanish, I feel a little bit, you know, South American at times, and your story is testament to that.
Well, I'd say if I was a dog, I'd be a mongrel. Because of the sort of mixes. There's no pedigree. On this podcast at all. So from me. So I think it's all concluding comments then. So what would you like to? How would you like to round things up? What message would you want our? I don't know whether on a podcast now, whether it's been video, whether we can call them listeners or viewers.
Yeah.
Or audio-visual participants.
My message would be this. I think there's a perception that learning languages is really hard, which isn't true. I think you've just got to throw yourself into it and try. And I think it's the greatest gift you can give to yourself, because if I had £1 for every adult that said to me, oh, I wish I'd carried on with my French, or I wish I'd carried on with my Spanish, I'd be a very rich woman. So I wish more UK children decided to carry on with their languages, and don't be afraid to do so, because it's one of the greatest gifts you could ever give to yourself.
Yeah, I would just add to that it's not easy. It requires a lot of effort, and even if you can communicate, I just want people to know that you will never communicate the same way that you communicate with your native language, but as long as you communicate, it's fine. Even if you make mistakes, that's all right.
Yeah, I think we are in the danger of the practicality, and we sometimes look for practicality for everything, and English is the most practical thing. You can travel around the world, you can communicate in English, it's easy, everyone gonna try the best to communicate with you, but you will never know properly the culture of a different country. It's gonna be a bit of an Instagram thing. You go, you're busy, you take some pictures, but you will never be able to understand the culture. And I think that was the language can bring to you. I know a bit more of in the British culture, and I can understand your jokes, and we can interact, and we can, you know, understand better the country when you speak the language, even though I can't understand fully, but it will be a lot easier. So I invite everyone to try to learn a language and to travel and to learn from different cultures.
Thank you for trying to understand my jokes.
Get in there.
At least someone does. Some of them might even be funny one day. Well, anyway, I think all we need to do is round up. So it's ci vediamo from me.
It's au revoir from me.
Adios.
Adeu.